Welcome to Fostering Blooms, the podcast where we dig deep into gardening and all the ways it can enrich your home and life.
Together, we'll explore every aspect of gardening the organic way, keeping it simple, accessible, and fun.
Whether you're a seasoned gardener or just getting your hands in the dirt, we're here to share the tips and insights you need to grow something truly special. I'm Shannon Foster Boleen.
And I'm Caitlin Blum, and we're two friends on a mission to cultivate beauty, creativity, and connection through everything we grow.
This is Fostering Blooms.
I'm so burned out, Shannon.
You can't be burned out yet. It's only July.
Oh, no, I'm just kidding.
I know, I'm kidding. You can be burned out.
But we've gone really hard this year.
I know.
We planted more than we've ever planted before.
Yes, we both have.
And
it would be normal.
It would be normal to feel burnout. And this is something that's not talked about a lot. It's not as glamorous. It's not as shiny, like, what's blooming? Look at my huge harvest of this.
Right.
This is something that's not really talked about a lot. And we wanted to address it and talk about burnout in the garden, how we're dealing with it, what keeps us going, and just take a moment to soak in what's been successful as well. We need to bathe in that.
Absolutely.
But the reality of gardening and what that means, because we are dealing with nature and pests and climate, and all this stuff is really out of our control. There's things that we can do to mitigate it, but it's going to come get us no matter what we do.
Yeah. I think it's really important because having the frustrations are important, just like having the successes, because if you only see the successful side and you don't acknowledge the challenge, it kind of takes away the joy that you get from still making it through or overcoming. I think how grateful I am that my livelihood doesn't rely on growing flowers or growing vegetables. I'm not a farmer, and I honestly think they all have balls of steel, just to be honest.
So hats off to you.
Yes, because we're just, not just, but we're home gardeners who are trying to create food for ourselves and flowers and enjoy this whole process and have some design and do other things. That's really something that brings us a lot of pleasure. But like anything, when you put a lot of time and effort into it, it can get really exhausting, and you need to have those moments and that encouragement to keep going.
Or take a little bit of a break.
Exactly.
Take a little bit of pause. Like, that's okay. And nobody is going to be looking at you sideways if you have two beds that are completely weeds and you decide not to do anything with them that season.
Absolutely not.
That's fine.
Yeah,
it shouldn't be so demanding and overwhelming that you stop doing it altogether. So a break is okay. It's totally okay.
One thing to normalize things too is I don't know anyone who gardens that when you go out there, you don't see the weeds instead of the plants, especially in my flower beds. I'm like, oh my God, I need to weed. Oh my God, I need to weed. Oh my God. I have to remind myself to stop and enjoy the beauty that's been created instead of focusing on just the tasks that I have to do. So we're going to share with you from our experience a couple things that have caused burnout for us in the past, because I will tell you, by the time I hit August, I'm usually like,
Mama's done.
Yeah.
Mama's fried.
Yeah. I kind of want to throw fists at the garden, as the kids say. It's more like the middle finger, to be honest, sometimes, because I'm just like, I'm done. But I usually find a way to come back around. So I want to share some of the things that have caused burnout, and also how I've moved through that through the years, because I think the longer you do it, you have different experiences and you learn different things. Whether you're just starting out or whether you're experienced, I feel like this episode's for you.
Absolutely. And it's not you. It's July.
Right.
Just keep that in mind.
Exactly.
It's not just you.
It's not just you. Okay. So you want me to start or you want to start?
Go ahead and start.
Okay. One of the things that causes me to burn out is that I may be known for taking on sometimes more than I can complete. I might have very large goals and put a lot on my plate. When I get to this part of the year and I still have a lot of things left to plant, or I'm starting to sow for fall vegetables or fall flowers, And I'm coming out of June where I'm still like feeling like a woman on fire, trying to get everything in the ground because I know that basically time is ticking. And then you go into July and it's like, oh my God, now I have to start sowing for these fall crops, fall flowers, and probably still have some plants left to go in the ground that I know it's going to be wreaking havoc to get these guys in there. That causes me to get really overwhelmed, and then I just don't want to do anything. I like don't want to sow anything. I don't want to plant anything. I just want to be like, forget it. I'm trying to take care of the other tasks that are going on in the garden as it is. So that feeling of like needing to keep moving forward so that I can keep the harvest going and the flowers going really can send me into a sense of overwhelm where I'm like, I think I'll just stay in the air conditioning today.
And I am also in the same boat that I take on more than I can chew. For instance, in June, I still had dahlias that needed to go in the ground and celosia. I think it was a lot taking on the pastoral hillside and the dahlia co-flower breeding
And
patch.
expanding your vegetable garden more than you've ever done.
And the wildflower field and the side yard. It was a lot.
Yeah.
But you know, I'm getting there and I'm trying to give myself some grace. And I think that's something you need to do too, is give yourself some grace. Like, God, the amount that you've done is insane.
It's crazy. But I love that because I think about the people who have come before us. And right now I'm thinking about particularly people who have created gardens like Sissinghurst and Hidcote and a lot of these places that I love. And I think, thank you for doing that. Thank you for showing that it's even possible, because then it makes me think, okay, I can do this. I mean, I don't have an army, but neither really did some of these other people. Some people did. Some people had a lot of money and they had a lot of people working for them. But a lot of folks, you know, they just really buckle down in their community and get it done, or they have their own space and they do it. So I do like to stay on the aspirational, inspirational side, but they also had, I'm sure, momentous failures that went with that and things that weren't working.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I definitely try to give myself grace. Also, I will say the good thing about August is that you're not really sowing flower seeds in August in 7B, and there's not really many vegetables that you're sowing. You're really more just kind of either maintaining your starts or keeping going with what's out there.
Yeah.
So I feel like the getting through July, a little bit of pulling out the old and putting in the new, there's just a little bit of stress that goes with that.
Absolutely. When you're getting that break of not having to sow stuff in August, you're busting your butt to get everything watered because it's so hot.
And that's another good burnout topic.
So my big one, well, I have two big ones, weeding and watering. I'll start with the weeding first. I was really on top of my weeding last year up until the point of mid-June, late June. We went on vacation. I came back. Everything had exploded. I said, I don't care. I'm done. I'll let that shit go.
I completely understand.
I was like, nope. So this spring, I worked really hard to amend my beds in terms of putting down cardboard and leaves and mulch and compost and soil. And the weeds this year, they ain't there.
Right.
I mean, there's a few, but they're not coming in masses, in an unmanageable aspect. I mean, it just burned me. I was like, I'm done. I don't really care. I'm glad I took the time this spring to put in that hard work to prep my beds. And now I just go along in the evenings when it's cool and pluck out my little things and check on my stuff.
Yeah.
So this year, I'm glad that I did that, and I'm having to do a lot less weeding as a result. But that is a huge thing. I mean, I'm still battling crabgrass like it's nobody's business. So there's still plenty of weeds to be had, and that kind of burned me out.
I think weeding is a huge source of burnout. In fact, it's one of the things that stops people in their tracks and say, well, I'm just not even going to deal with it until like 4 months from now. The truth is that might be what you have to do. I would rather you do that than just get Roundup out there and just spray everything down and burn it all down. But what it can do for you, like, is help you make different decisions And for example, that's definitely how I felt last year, because where my 4 raised beds were, I was expanding the potager, and over by the 4 raised beds, I had mulch there originally. I did have cardboard down and I did have mulch. Like we've talked about, it biodegrades, right? What started happening? Year 2, in this humidity, all the weeds were coming up, and I was like having to weed around my vegetable beds all the time, along with the flower beds. And I tried another experiment last year where I used compost to build out a bed along the back fence line and didn't mulch it, because you can use compost as a suppressant. But guess what? All the weeds grew in it in the spring because there wasn't enough of a cover. So I made a different decision, which is I have put landscape fabric down, and I'm going to put the crushed rock around the vegetable beds. Now I've taken that off of my plate, just like you did with the cardboard. And then what I've been very aggressive with this year is mulch, cardboard mulch. And even if I have a patch, like I've got a patch right now that used to be flowers and I haven't really planted it, I'm just going to go throw some cardboard down and mulch it.
Yeah.
And then next year I'll plant something in. Instead of trying to hand weed it, I'm just going to smother the weeds with cardboard and mulch. So when you have that burnout moment, which believe me, I hate it too, is to see, okay, well, what am I going to do differently right now? Like I could just put cardboard and mulch on this, or what am I going to do next year to change this to minimize that task? Because it's never going to go away. I mean, you're going to have to weed. Even if you put mulch down, I have things grow on top of the mulch.
Little baby weeds,
Yeah.
but it's so much more manageable.
Yes, absolutely.
So I think, okay, what's the cause, the source of burnout here, and what can I do to mitigate it? Either in a month from now, if I want to plant something there, or I just want to leave it and wait till next year.
Right.
Figure it out and do that. And I think that in itself, kind of easing that stressor,
it's huge.
Helps with that burnout.
And I don't care if you're a new gardener or if you've been doing it a really long time. I feel like every year teaches you something. And we both are in the process of expanding our spaces. So we are learning a lot of things as we go with that. And the good news is when you do the next part of your pastoral bed, for example, you've learned some lessons from the first section. So you're going to do it a little differently, and then that will make it easier for you on the second run too. I guess what I'm saying is that, in a sense, lean into that burnout to figure out what you can change.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes the answer is, I can't change anything. I just need to take a little space.
Yeah.
And maybe that's the change too, is no, hey, this time of the year, I'm going to need to take a little step back or ask for some help.
Yeah.
Maybe I need to have someone come in and weed. There's a kid in the neighborhood, or there's someone who's retired and they want to come in and do that stuff like once a week or once a month, and that'll help alleviate some of the stress for you.
Absolutely. And what will be interesting too is in the dahlia patch in the front where there's old grapevines. Well, they ripped them out. They're not old. This is a grape vineyard that they put in, and I've been repurposing that space. That was one of the hardest garden projects I've ever done, is annihilating the crabgrass. One row, I pulled all the crabgrass off of the landscape fabric. That worked when it was like March, right? It was dead. Tried doing it mid-June with all this rain. I couldn't. So I pulled the landscape fabric up in these large carpets of roots, dirt, and crabgrass. They were so heavy I couldn't even lift them. And I didn't even do the whole row. There's probably 12, 15 feet at the end that I didn't finish. And I was like, you know what? This is for next year.
Yep.
I just kind of said, you know what?
Just at some point you have to stop. Because here's the thing is, as much as we want to, we don't always have to do it all at once. It's just not always feasible.
And that's how I am. I want to take it all on.
Me
and
too.
So do you. I have an idea. We need to implement this tomorrow.
Oh, yeah. I know. We're both the same. Like, I mean, 100%.
And we egg each other on. That's what's kind of dangerous is we're like, oh, yeah, you've got to do that. That sounds great.
Right.
And you're like, okay, well, let me start this now. So it's almost, I mean, like, our garden spaces didn't double or triple until we met each other.
But the other side of that is that I have someone that I can also call, or you can call and be like, this thing just dug up everything going on my plate.
I should talk about that too, is pests. Pests can be deterring. they're there. We
Yep.
are gardening. We're using
Their
their
space.
space to put our shit.
Yep.
They live there. They're there. The squash bugs really piss me off, I think, the most every year. On my cucumbers, my squashes, zucchini and stuff, they haven't found me yet. Knock on wood. But I know it's coming. And powdery mildew too. I think when those start getting rough, that burns me out.
Yeah. I mean, it's that thing of like, some people have a lot of deer. We have deer around here, but we actually feed our deer down in the woods and they don't come up here. They don't eat my hostas along the driveway, even in the winter. And they run in the back pasture and they haven't come over here. So far I've been good on the deer. But we do have bunnies, and you do too. Of course, there's birds and other pests. Pests can cause a lot of burnout because you feel like you're losing.
Battling nature.
Yeah, and at some point you are going to lose. And that's where succession planting is really helpful. Go ahead and plant that squash plant and then plant another one 2 or 3 weeks behind it. And when the first one gets really nasty, rip it out, throw it away, don't compost it. And then the next one's still going. There just comes a point in time where it's going to be overtaken. And the best you can do is handpick those things and spray organically if that's what you're using. Then just know that that's part of it and plan for it. That's what I've learned is I just try to plan for things to fail because I know that they are.
Yeah.
Something won't germinate, something will die. I mean, my dog walks over things and breaks them. I swear I lost probably 15 zinnias just to dog laying on it. Is he a pest? I know. He's precious.
He is precious.
He's in here with us now.
And don't use bone meal.
Well, if you use bone meal, get ready for critters to come find your things.
That was a really hard lesson learned.
Yeah.
Skunk, raccoon, I still don't know because the cameras haven't picked it out what dug up all that stuff, but that's
It's a tough
okay.
one.
We live and learn and we move on. So what's your...
I was going to say pests and you took it, so I'm going to talk about watering.
Okay,
because you mentioned it, but didn't talk about it. So see how that works out? It's perfect. Last year, we really were droughty. I mean, it was really bad. And I seriously am thanking the God of rain and everything this year for what they're bringing because we had the wettest May here that we've had since 1938, but we needed it. I mean, we needed to be replenished so much. Yeah. It's still raining in June. We've already had more rain in the first week of June than we did the entire month. I kept track of it because I don't care about how many inches. It rained for a total of like 2 hours. I was out every morning watering in June for this new bed I put in, which is a drought tolerant bed, but it was new plants. If it rained like normal, like once a week, even as new plants, because they were fairly large, they weren't tiny, they would have been okay, right?
Yeah.
Like that's a normal expectation, 1 time a week of rain. We're talking it rained like 3 times the whole month, and like 2 of them was a drizzle and 1 was hard. So I was watering because I didn't want to lose it, and I just transplanted all those hostas. I didn't have drip irrigation down, and I'd be out there for 45 minutes, and by the end of June, I'm like, F it. I can't do this. I can't. I mean, it was from 6 a.m. to 7 before I couldn't do it. My vegetable bed in the cut flower garden was on drip irrigation. So that was golden. But what I did differently is I laid the framework to do drip irrigation for the hosta bed. The drought tolerant bed doesn't need anything now. The only thing I'm planting in there would be things like zinnias and stuff like that. And, they're going to make it or not. So it's fine now with natural rainfall. But the areas that didn't have that and the new bed that I put in, I immediately put in the structure for the drip irrigation lines so that I can add them. And that's the learning that I had. So whether you have a small bed or a big bed, mulch.
Yeah, absolutely.
A lot of mulch. I did a lot of mulch early on. I mean, your good soil and mulch is the first line of attack. And then beyond that, that's when you start looking into drip irrigation as a way to not have to hand water all the time. And you can get drip irrigation for pots as well if you're mainly gardening in pots. But
it's a lot less expensive than I thought it was.
It really is.
It's amazing what I was able to do. My back beds, my front dahlia patch, I even ran the line in front of the wildflower field so I can bring those lines down and do the pumpkins and the corn.
Oh, that's awesome.
I thought ahead. Oh, God. I was like, you know what? I'm going to run it past this in case I ever want to water this bed. The wildfire field, it's been doing great because of all the rain.
Yeah.
But come August, I don't want my pumpkins withering up.
That's right. No pumpkin withering.
I don't want no pumpkin withering going on here.
Any withered pumpkins for the fall at their front door.
I don't want no crusty pumpkins. Slash, they probably wouldn't grow.
That's right.
So, but for all of that, I want to say it was, what, $215 or something?
Yeah.
And that's like 500 foot of thick line.
And then all the drip lines that go off of it, so all the components.
It's a huge, huge area I was able to do. And the raised beds are lots of tubing. And I did it all myself, which I couldn't believe how, once you get in a groove at it. So worth it. Because watering was mine too. Last year, I would stand there with my hose and I would do my tomatoes. I would do them properly at the ground
base.
level, at the base, and let that soak. And then there's this back bed of dahlias, and I would just do this. I didn't even uncoil the hose. I was so done with watering. I just don't care. August was miserable, and that might happen.
Nope. She's tapping on a lot of wood today.
So superstitious. No, but I have all that in place.
Yeah.
And that's a huge relief off of me. I'm like, if it doesn't rain, that's all right. I'm just going to flip the switch and turn on my water.
And you can get Wi-Fi timers, Bluetooth timers.
So much stuff
I have one that has 4 nozzles on it for mine on one side of the house and 2 on the other. You can set it to do it in the morning or late at night. I mean, definitely set it for the time of day where it's not super hot. But the point is that it's set it and forget it. We all need that in our lives. And with pots, part of the reason I don't have a ton of pots is because I want to stay around watering them all the time. I mean, I'm just going to be honest, like there's too many other things going on. One day, maybe I'll be at the point where I'm like, oh, I can have more pots, but I'm not at that place. But if you do have pots, I want you to know that there's a solution for you too. I would say what causes burnout for us are trying to get things in the ground, succession planning and all that kind of management. And then the watering, the pests and weeds.
Absolutely.
And I think we gave solutions for all those. And I'm sure that we could give you even more. But I will say, looking back on 20 plus years of gardening, that those 4 things are consistently the things that make me feel the most overwhelmed.
Absolutely.
Hopefully our tips will help you not to feel that. And to remember, like, go outside and just sit down in the evening when it's cool, or have your coffee or tea outside in the morning and just enjoy what you've created. Like Caitlin said, when she just goes and pulls a couple things, at nighttime, go harvest a few little things. Because sometimes you get really stressed around harvesting. I've definitely felt stressed out at the end of the season.
My garlic, I was like, oh my God, I gotta get this out of the ground now. I can't even go get a hoe. I use my bare hands.
So, well, the tomatoes start bumping and you're like, if I pick one more tomato and can it, I think I'm going to lose my mind. I think we all reach a point. You need to know what your point is. And then I would say, and this is really coming out of both sides of my mouth, to be honest, is to keep a journal. And I have not been good about this. This year I started off thinking, I'm going to keep a gardening journal. I'm going to know exactly when I planted things and how they grew and what I used for fertilizer. And it is June and I have not written a single word. However, the year is not over, but I do feel that I have records because I keep records on my spreadsheets and have photos. But I do think that record keeping is a good way to help you remember for the next year. Like, oh, that didn't work or this worked.
Absolutely. That's really good. I want to announce to our listeners out there that we will be joining Substack.
Yes.
And will give us an opportunity to get more of the practical advice, tips and tricks, but in written form. So I think that'll also help with our record keeping as well.
Yeah. Because we can share our story. I think that's one thing. It's like, I love Instagram because it's a quick hit and it can be funny or it can be a quick teaching moment. But what I do love about Substack is, aside from having the podcast there and the chat there, it's really a platform for being able to write. And I am not an amazing writer. I'm not going to pretend like I think I'm some kind of fabulous writer.
Well, I am. I'm just kidding.
So you just read what she writes.
Just being a shit.
Don't read mine, read hers.
No.
And that's
No.
fine. No, but I
Just
feel
being a
like,
shit.
it's good because I want people to be able to know a little bit of our stories as well if they're interested in that.
Yeah.
And I feel like sometimes in the podcast we can talk about that a little bit, but I don't want to bore people either with
Absolutely.
our story when it might be they're looking for something else. So
Yeah.
I feel like Substack is a nice mix of being able to add some of that in.
We're just kind of adding another layer to our offerings
Yeah.
and a way to share our stories, what
Yeah.
we've got going on, and more tips and advice.
Especially with design, because we don't really talk about that
Yeah.
as much.
Yeah.
And it's easier to show that with pictures or in writing to
Mhm.
kind of get some of that down too.
Yeah, recipes. That's another thing. We
Yeah.
don't talk about recipes
All
a
the
lot. We
cooking.
mention things, but we want to kind of dive into that.
And
Yeah.
Kate's animal husbandry,
Mm-hmm.
which we are going to do a podcast on chickens.
Chickens.
I can't wait. Yeah, if there's anything that we haven't talked about that you're like, I want to know more about this or want to hear more about that, definitely please let us know. We're always open to that. But in the meantime, we are going to go dig back into the heat of July and keep going because it's really worth the effort.
Yeah, keep going. And if you are at that moment of burnout, take a pause. It's okay.
Yeah.
Guess what? The ground's not going anywhere.
That's right. All right. All right. I like that. The ground's not going anywhere. Oh, all right. Well, let's go get dirty.
All right, let's go grow, baby.
Love what you hear? Follow along and leave us a review to keep us inspired. If you've enjoyed listening, you can also watch us on our YouTube channel at Fostering Blooms. Let's go grow, baby.